Welcome everybody to another episode from podcast Freedom News. The last episode, if you remember, we spoke about the consequences of the fall of man and the God's remedy for it. And today we're talking about the book of Daniel and actually when the remedy is going to be fulfilled. So me and Alan here today. Thanks for coming, Alan.
And my pleasure, Ali.
Yeah, let's talk about when the remedy is going to fall down actually and the prophetic word for it and from the book of Daniel that you're going to share with us today.
Okay, so we want to connect the promise of the woman's seed to come and remedy the situation with the fall of man.
That's correct.
And when this would be performed. Now, so to set the background, Israel was formed a nation when they came out of Egypt.
Egypt, yeah.
And they were brought under the law of Sinai. That's called the first covenant. Mm-hmm. In the New Testament, in the book of Hebrews, it's referred to as the first covenant. We call it the old covenant now, but it's in the book of Hebrews, it was had been what Christ came to bring an end to and to bring into effect his new covenant.
That's right. Yeah.
This is the new covenant. God promised through Jeremiah that he would cut a new covenant with the house of Israel and Judah.
Yeah.
And that our sins and their sins and iniquities God would remember no more, and also knowing God wouldn't be, it would be something that everybody knows. Personally, individually, people will have their own relationship with God. That's the new covenant.
That's correct.
Being born again and all those things. So what God, with the nation of Israel, they eventually became a kingdom under King Saul, and then under the prophet King David, God made a promise to him that from his descendants, the seed promised to man, called the Anointed.
Yeah.
People think he's the anointed Savior, but he's actually, when God refers to my anointed, he's talking about the one whom he anointed, God.
Yeah.
It's his son, right? That's the anointed. And that he would come out of David's descendants, mm-hmm. and that he would come to perform the mercy God promised Adam.
Yeah.
Right? That he would bruise the serpent's head. But with the fall of David's kingdom, mm-hmm. his house, God said that he would restore the house of David and that it would become a great empire, a dominion that's ruled, and the anointed son will reign over this restored house of David. So that when the Babylonians came and conquered the house of David and took them into captivity, naturally, having been chastened in that manner, they were longing to go back. You know, God's mercy, they had been chastened for their unfaithfulness to the first covenant that God made with Israel in the days of Moses, and they hadn't kept it. They'd fallen into idolatry, and as a consequence, God destroyed the nation, but only for a term of 70 years.
Yeah.
They were sent to Babylon for exile.
Yeah, that's the example.
That's where Daniel is coming in. He knew from the prophet Jeremiah that their exile would end in 70 years, and that God would then return them back. Yeah. Right? So that's the backdrop for Daniel 9. It's the angel Gabriel that comes to explain to Daniel, mm-hmm. more than just the return of the exile and the re-establishment of Judah as a nation, but not as a kingdom.
That's right.
It doesn't have the king nor any prophets at that time from the restoration until Elijah the prophet was to come, and then the Messiah would follow him, the anointed. So this is who the anointed is. He is the Son of God, and so the prophetic thing is that he's going to reign. He'll have an eternal dominion that will reign and never cease. So that's what Daniel was expecting to come.
That's right.
Right, every Israelite, from when they were kicked out and thrown into Babylon, they were waiting for this fulfillment, the messianic fulfillment, that the Messiah would come and restore the house of David, and it would be an everlasting kingdom, right?
Yeah.
So then he gets these visions, Daniel 8 and Daniel 9, that God is saying, hang on, I'm going to let you in on something, Daniel. And he did it, God had to reveal it in such a way, like it's spoken very mysteriously. You know, he's talking kings and horns and a ram and a goat and all these things.
Yeah.
A little horn that waxes great. This is the Daniel 8. And so it's done that way because God is not letting his cards show to the enemy, which his enemy is Satan.
Yeah, that's right.
He's keeping his cards close to his chest. He's hiding it from Satan. So Satan has to figure this out.
Yeah.
You know, he's trying to destroy the seed.
Yeah, it's kind of when he's saying, like, when the book of Acts, I believe, when Paul explaining it at the last days, like, or the beginning, God spoke through prophets to us. And that's kind of a puzzle that the prophets, they have to put in place and figure it out.
That's right. They're only given little bits of the picture.
That's right. A small puzzle. You know the puzzle that they put together and all of a sudden you see the picture?
Yeah.
I noticed it like this.
It takes time.
And the Bible is like this.
That's
when you put all the pieces together, then all of a sudden you see a picture.
Start to connect the dots and you see what it's really telling you, right? And it's quite amazing. And that's why God did it this way, because he wanted to keep the serpent in the dark, so that he could get salvation accomplished for the world. Because, you know, Satan's trying to stop it all the time.
That's right, yeah.
And, you know, so that's what the Satan is trying to do. And he began by murdering Abel.
Yeah.
In the after they were cast out of the Garden of Eden, Cain rose up and killed his brother.
Yes.
Now, Adam and Eve had been promised that the seed of the woman would save them, basically, from death.
Yeah, it's God's word and has to be done.
Yeah, and it's not talking about physical death. That is irrevocable. That judgment against us is irrevocable. It's being carried out, but there's another death, and that's the death of our soul. That's the destruction of the angels that sinned, and all the souls of man that have sinned, to be contained in a lake for eternity that's burning fire. And it's basically how God sort of like contains all the evil that exists, that has sprung into being, sin and everything, death and hell. Everything gets thrown into this lake of fire, and it's held there for eternity. It can never escape that fire, right?
That's right.
So that's the end. And that's what Jesus, this woman's seed, the mission he received was not to come and restore the house of David. His mission was to bruise the head of the serpent.
That's it. That's how to restore the house of David.
Well, no. It is a restoration of the house of David, but that's his second coming. His first coming, he came to bruise the head of the serpent. Remember what Jesus said when his disciples realized he was the Messiah. What picture did they have of the Messiah?
Yeah, somebody to free them from the empire of the Romans. And physically, they're thinking about physical
they're thinking this
empire.
is the kingdom of David's going to be restored. He's the anointed. Like, you know, you're the Son of God, you're the Christ, you're the anointed God. You're going to be this one that's going to cast out the Herodians and get rid of the Romans, and Israel's going to enter its glory days, which is for as long as this world continues, Israel will be the dominant nation on earth, like America has been for the last 50, 70 years.
Yeah.
You know, but it's going to be eternally, it's going to be Israel under Messiah, under the anointed God. But Jesus pulled them up and said, hang on, boys, first This is what I came to do. I didn't come to do that. First, I came to give my life a ransom for many. And he explained what was going to happen to him. But because they were indoctrinated that he'd come to restore the kingdom, when he's telling them he's going to be arrested, he's going to be beaten, he's going to be crucified, and he's going to be buried, dead and buried. On the third day I will rise again. It went right over their heads.
Yeah.
That's what doctrine does. When you hear, in this case, the revelation from the Lord, it just goes right past you, and we're guilty of the same thing. That's why, for me, this 7-year tribulation does the same thing to us. It's not, it's another story, but
you mean the doctrine of the Bible that some people they get hanged on?
And we're focusing on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening to the disciples. So we saw that play out when he got arrested. They all ran for their lives.
Yeah.
And they were absolutely thunderstruck because they're so convinced. And they were right. They were right. Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God. But what threw them off, what broke their faith, was that he got arrested. This isn't following the script. They were all saying, who's going to rule? Where am I going to sit in the kingdom? It's going to happen any moment now, and we're going to get it. We're going to be put in charge of the kingdom. We're going to be, they're all arguing who's going to sit on his right hand and left hand. When you enter your kingdom, when you reign as king over on the throne of David in Jerusalem, over the whole world.
Yeah,
that's what he's come to do.
Yeah, that's what the expectation basically of the Messiah is, like the physical kingdom, and and somebody, if he got to be king, therefore he's gonna choose some people to be in his right or live and rule and do this and do this task and do this task. And the vision was about physical empire rather than the spiritual or something everlasting.
Yeah, here's the amazing thing. Satan also believed Jesus was going to come and restore the kingdom.
Yeah.
Take the throne. So, all right, the throne's been, the kings of the sons of David have been dethroned by Babylon. They've been sent into exile. And even when Judah is restored, the throne is not restored. So that throne, all of Israel who believed the prophets and the Messianic salvation, their hope and their faith is that Messiah is going to come, and he's the only one that can sit on that throne.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So in the restoration of Judea, there came a time when the Seleucids, under a guy called Antiochus Epiphanes, he invaded Judah and he captured Jerusalem, and he actually stopped the sacrifices and stopped the daily sacrifices and forced the priests to offer swine on the altar, desecrating the temple. That's foretold, right, that these things would happen. And he had it for 3.5 years. So 3.5 years before the Maccabees, who revolted, were able to drive him out, and they recaptured the temple. And it took them 3 months or so to re-sanctify the temple. They had to, purify it. He built a new altar because the other one had been desecrated with swine, so they built a new one. And then sacrifices continued, okay? So until the time of Christ.
Yeah.
So that's where we get our eschatology all sort of screwed up, because we can't fit where we're told that there's a prophecy to do with makes an end of sacrifice and all this, and they're getting confused. Which one is it, So the first time that happened was when Antiochus conquered Jerusalem. It's probably that's closer to around the 2nd century, I think, before Christ. So it's about 200 years before Christ. You'd have to do, you guys, I'd have to do a bit more research on that to get the exact time, but I'm just sort of guessing with that part of it. And then comes the struggle, which this is what Daniel 8 is actually about, is that out of the Greek Empire, the first horn, which is Alexander the Great, 4 empires will rise up out of that. 4 kings, basically. There's the 2 strongest ones of them was Seleucia and Ptolemy, which was Egypt. And so there was this, when Israel got restored, when Cyrus took the throne of Persia, he gave permission for Judah to be restored and the temple rebuilt.
Yeah.
So that's the first decree. But then there was, I think, Artaxerxes, he also gave permission for Nehemiah to return, and then Xerxes sent Ezra back.
Yeah.
And we're given in chapter 9 of Daniel a 70-week measurement to show us from that command till the Messiah, the new covenant, would be 490 years. The Messiah would come in the 70th week of those 490 years. He would make the new covenant. So Daniel 8 was about what would happen to the nation prior to Christ's coming. And that is that a little horn arises, and he actually becomes great, because he is speaking about Herod the Great. That's who the little horn is. And if you won't get that from Scripture, right? You have to listen to the history of the Josephus. He's recorded the battles of Israel with the Seleucids, Antiochus.
I don't know.
Ptolemy.
I don't know much about the history.
Right.
That's what I like.
That's where I never knew either, but when having read this and never been able to make sense of it, it didn't make sense until I listened to Josephus. In other words, that's what it's describing. It's all these battles here.
Yeah.
And you recognise straight away who the little horn is, because we allegorize it to be the little horn is the Antichrist, right? And it's speaking about that. And in a sense, it is. It actually is. But to understand who the Antichrist is of our time, we got to understand the Antichrist, who the Antichrist is of Christ's time.
Yeah.
Right? Do you understand? Do you get what I'm saying? Because they are almost identical. That's what it's saying, that the way this little horn rose up, the person he is, we've got a replica here right now in our present time.
Yes.
Exactly the same.
Antichrist in every time exists.
Yeah, there have been these traits of a little horn, but significantly, I don't think there's been quite a little horn like the one that's strutting around the world stage at the moment.
Yeah.
And so like I've tried to figure out who this little horn is for my whole Christian life, right? It's Bill Clinton, it's Obama, and absolutely convinced, that that's who it is.
Yeah.
Because they have traits.
Yeah.
They have traits. The whatever. So we all start trying to identify who this person is, kind of like, because we all want to know when Jesus is coming back, right?
Yeah.
If we can, the Antichrist, that's basically how the church is a lot of Christians are focused on that. And really, you've got to be focused on what Paul said, which is, I seek to know nothing among you other than Christ and Him crucified.
Yeah.
Should be our focus, not running off and trying to figure out the last days and the Antichrist.
Or the rapture and all this stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what I did. Instead of focusing on the cross and the atonement, you see, this is the key to understanding the prophecies, the mind that has wisdom.
Yeah.
the mind that has wisdom. Well, Christ is the power and wisdom of God.
That's right.
So when you understand what Christ came to do, which he came to pop the devil's balloon. He came to bruise the head of the
snake,
the serpent. He gave him a migraine, right? He came to pillage, to bind him, and to plunder his property.
Yeah.
Right? That's what he came. And how did he do it? By paying the debt of all those that Satan had taken captive through sin.
Yeah.
Using death. See, that's the thing. It's death. It's not Satan. It's actually God's power that, you know, if you eat that fruit, you shall die. It's God's power that death has authority from God, and it cannot be revoked.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's God's justice.
That's right.
Right? But our soul has yet to be judged. So that's why God didn't destroy the serpent in the garden or Adam. Because it would have been, you know, sure, no evil would have happened to the world, but no mankind either.
Yeah.
And God made us to be his family. He didn't stop because Satan, you know, sabotaged what God was doing. And God foreknew that the serpent would do this, but he incorporated the fall of man into his overall plan. You know, that through the fall of man, this is the wisdom of God. He says, hang on, I know it's going to be rough for you, but I'll allow it to happen. And only then will you really know from a fallen state who I really am. Because we discussed this last time. You don't really appreciate something until you lose it.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's why God allowed it to happen, so that we would really, you know, because look at the world around us. It's so beautiful. We're in a
you don't appreciate this country until you get
the beauty,
to this country. Yeah,
the
that's
beauty.
Right. The same thing. Yeah.
You know, and that's how God, we know it touches our heart. There's somebody who's behind this creator. And in our hearts is that longing to go back to our Creator, because that's how he created us. There's a space inside our hearts that only our Creator can fill and satisfy. And that's who Jesus is. There's a Jesus space shaped hole in our hearts, in our soul, that only he can fill.
Yeah.
Right, you know, that's what mankind is doing, is filling it with everything but, right?
Yeah, because when you look at it, when this comes to the faith, you know, like, no matter what you do, no matter what achievement you have in your life, there is always a void in your heart, lacking, you know? And people in some points in their life, they hit that pole and then they realize, oh, okay, well, I have the money of the world, I have this, I have what I want, but still there is a void.
Still
and that's seeking God. Presence in the heart.
They realize, you know, Paul Stanley, the guy, the band Kiss, he confessed this. He said, you know, I've got everything. You know, when he's a young fellow, if I get all this wealth and all the girls and all the cars, you know, I get that, then I'll finally be at peace. You know, I'll be satisfied.
Yeah.
And he gets there, he's got it all, and he's still, as he said, totally unfulfilled.
Yeah.
And he hasn't figured it out yet, that it's Jesus that he's looking for.
Yeah,
he's crammed it all with.
That's why everything that you want really in this world is achievable. The only thing that's not achievable is the presence of God. We have access to everything in this world, you know. What do you want? You want money, you work, you get money. You want car, you work, still you can buy car. What do you want? Everything is available here.
Yeah.
The only thing that's not available and we don't have access to it, is very hard, it's not very easy, is the presence of God. And that's what fills the void in the heart of mankind. And most people, they don't think about this.
No, it's something that only your heart, you know, because it's a longing in your heart. It's, you know, we try to find like from a man's perspective, we try to find, when we're young, it's a car. You know, if I get a car or I get a motorbike or I get a girlfriend.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to fulfill ourselves through those things. But all those things turn to crap, basically.
Yeah, exactly. You know, because whatever you get, it's physical. You have access to it. You get bored of it, tired. It doesn't fill you up.
You know, the car gets old.
It doesn't fill you.
You know, and you want another one. The motorbike's no good. The girlfriend, you know, you're always looking for someone else, or she's looking for someone else.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're married.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's no fulfillment in the things of this world, and that's what Jesus said. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of the things he possesses, right? He's the bread of life. When you finally have Jesus in here, that's when you go, I found it.
Especially,
you know, what my heart was looking for.
Especially if you have that physical encounter with him, and I had one, and I'm happy to pay everything, even my life, to experience that moment again. And I spoke with you about this. Yeah. And that's like, I can't forget about that. I can't. It just.
I know that's what sustains you right now. So that's his touch. That when we're born again, he does that to us. And it stays with us through, you know, come hell or high water, as the saying goes. We never forget. Yeah, never. Because that's the reality. He's real, right? Yes. He's real. It's true. Everything written about him's true. Yeah. You know. And that's what and that's give you the hand, the 10 head. You know? So again, back to the backdrop. So prior to Christ's coming and performing the sacrifice, at the same time, this false Messiah basically comes and seizes the throne of David right at the time. Now Satan, you see, he can figure out the calendar. He knows the Messiah's coming at a certain time. So he doesn't want the kingdom of David to or God's word to be fulfilled. He's trying to spoil it. So he puts his own king on the throne. And that's what chapter 8 is about. The little horn of Daniel is this king who rises up from obscurity, really. We're talking about the house of Herod. It begins with his father Antipater, who was very close to one of the high priests. There's two lines that descend from a Hasmonean queen called Alexandra, and her husband Alexander had died, leaving her a widow, and she reigned over the kingdom. Basically, they made her, I think it was one of her grandfather or something, made himself a king, and he wasn't allowed to do that. Because he was a priest, right? Only the Messiah could make himself king. So they were already offside with everyone, but the Jewish people kind of accepted that. The Messianics were the ones who say, no, only the Messiah can be the king, right? And they were the fundamentalists, the narrow-minded, you know. Oh, come on, bro. You know, be a bit more open-minded. That's what everyone's saying to the Messianics, right? And from her, she had two sons, and which one is going to be the high priest? Basically it. And so they're fighting because whoever controls the office of high priest controls the Jewish nation. You know, because it didn't have a viable king. So this battle goes down to the time when Rome starts to come over, and the Ptolemies in Egypt and the Seleucids are losing their power, and it's more Rome. So that are sort of sorting out the control of Judah and places like that. So that's the time of Pompey. He comes in and he sides with one of these families, and it's the side of Hyrcanus, I think. Antigonus was kind of being supported by the Parthians, and they rose up after Seleucia sort of waned. The Parthians became strong, and they're fighting with Rome. And Rome's in Syria battling the Parthians, and you know, all Julius Caesar's trying to conquer Britain, and the Gauls and the French, and Pompey's doing his stuff, and he comes down to Egypt and Syria, to Judah, and he sees this war going on, and he backs one of these brothers who agrees to pay tribute. So they run Aristobulus or Antigonus out of Jerusalem, and Antipater takes over. He puts Herod in place to take care of Galilee, and that's when Herod, his son, starts to become quite a man.
Yeah.
You know, he's quite an outstanding guy. Now, they were converted to Judaism because they were originally, their ancestry, they come from Esau. They're Edomites. They're not descendants of the 12 tribes that were actually conquered by John Hyrcanus and sort of like forcibly forced to become Jewish. What was left of Edom, and so that's where Antipater comes from. He was close to the Ptolemies, so that's what it means that out of one of those horns rises a little horn.
Yeah.
As he's coming out of Ptolemy, you see, out of the southern, and that's where Herod comes from. He's Antipater's close to Julius Caesar, all those guys, and then he's murdered while Herod's running things in Galilee, and then so Herod takes over his father's job. I think his brother was running Jerusalem while Herod's brother was running Jerusalem, while Antipater was sort of acting as a regent over the whole thing for the Romans, and then he gets murdered. And it's something to do with power struggle between Pompey and Julius Caesar, and there's total uproar constantly.
Yeah.
And that's what it describes, this little horn. He's savvy to all these political moves, and because if you back the wrong Roman general and he loses, you're gone, you're executed because you went with him. And so Herod was like playing political hopscotch, and he was really deft at picking the ones that would win. And that's why he's quite remarkable in how he rose to prominence at that time. And even when the Parthians came and they ran Hyrcanus out of town, and Herod, this is after Antipater was assassinated, Herod goes to Rome, and they decide, Mark Antony, and I think Julius Caesar was still around then, Mark Antony, who's close to Egypt with Cleopatra, he's having an affair with her. It's kind of insane, kind of the drama that's going on.
History, yeah.
And so Herod gets over there, and they say, we're going to put you on the throne, because he just wanted to go back as the procurator, or governor of Judea.
And that's
it's a top job. But they say, no, we're going to do even better. We're going to put you on the throne.
And that's how he came in power and became a king.
So that's what it means that he waxed great.
Yes.
Because now he's the king.
Yeah.
Of the house of David.
Yeah.
And that's what really upset the Israelites. What? How can you take the throne? So, they were trying to destroy the Messianics, who were very upset about the Roman influence as to who reigned over them in the office of high priest.
And that's Herodes, if I got this one wrong, that he tried to kill the children from 2 years and below. And
that's the Herod.
And Satan tried to fulfill his plan through him.
That's
to
right.
Get rid of the Messiah.
That's one shot at him.
Yeah.
That's the first shot that, because it's all done in secret, right?
Yeah.
Satan doesn't know where the Messiah is. He knows he's Jew. He's got the king in place.
Yeah.
And he's a tyrant, right? He's knocking off all the Messianics,
Yeah.
And then suddenly the wise men knock on the door. Excuse me, we just come to worship him who's been born king of the Jews.
Yeah.
Herod's like, what?
Yeah.
Because he is also a very paranoid man.
Yeah.
Who wound up murdering his own sons through his wife, Mariamne. She was a Hasmonean princess.
Yeah. Is that the history that you're talking about from Josephus?
Josephus.
Josephus, so he wrote about these things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Josephus wrote all this. You won't find it in here.
Yeah. There is a book separate for it, yeah?
Yeah, when you read the narrative in Daniel 8, you go, that's what it is.
I should read that book if you have that book,
yeah. Well, look, it's on the internet. That's where I got it from. You can listen to it on YouTube, The Antiquities of the Jews, or The Wars of the Jews.
Yeah.
And it gives you a very solid breakdown. And then the book of Daniel starts to open up. You start to realise what it's talking about.
Yeah.
Because that's actually what it's that period of time that goes through to that. So just to boil off, Daniel sees these two animals clash, this little horn arise, and then there's, it gets really sort of...
So if I got this one right, the little horn, that's what Herodes to rise up, right?
Yeah, that's Herod.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we'll leave it for the next video to actually talk more about Herod, because then you'll understand who Herod is today.
Yeah, okay.
Because he's got somebody just like him strutting around the world stage today. Okay.
All right, so we leave it up today.
Yeah, we'll leave it there.
And in the next session, we're going to follow up with our subject and we talk about more Herodes and how is that really fulfilled, okay?
And the 2,300-day war.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
That's important too.
All right, thanks guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share, like the video if you haven't. Thanks Alan, and we continue in our subject in the next session, yeah?
Yep.
All right, God bless you all. God bless you, Alan.
Thank you. God bless you too.